Well, an airstrike was carried out in the early hours of today in southern Syria, which is not at all an unusual occurrence. What is exceptional in this case is that it is not Israel that allegedly carried out this bombing, nor was the target a military one. According to reports, the operation was carried out by Syria's other neighbor to the south, Jordan, and the target was the home of a notorious drug trafficker. Well, joining us in studio is our Middle East correspondent, Ariel Oseran. Ariel, bombing a drug trafficker's house sounds like, I think I read that in a Tom Clancy novel, but that was in South America. Or it sounds like that movie Sicario or something. Certainly, I can't recall a story like this happening in the Middle East.
Well, Calev, I think it's not for no reason that you're echoing Colombian drug lords, because this guy, al-Ramthan, who was taken out in last night's air raid,
he was nicknamed, his family.
His wife and 6 kids were also killed in this bombing. He's nicknamed the Pablo Escobar of Syria. He's perhaps the most prominent drug trafficker in the region, mainly considered obviously the #1 smuggler of drugs between Syria into Jordan, and Jordan has been severely affected. Many countries have been severely affected by the crisis in Syria, the lawlessness, the situation that has allowed criminal elements to rise to prominence over there. And there was, this comes at the heels of the May 1st meeting, multiple Arab countries talking about how to reinstate Syria into the Arab fold, but also how to deal with the different challenges that come from this. And today at a press conference, the Jordanian foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, he did not comment directly on this strike, but he did say that Jordan is perhaps the most affected country from the crisis in Syria. Let's take a listen to what he said today.
It is a must that we end this crisis, because we've suffered tremendously from its consequences, as did the Syrian people and others. We cannot live with the status quo anymore. We have to do something. And yes, we'll be working within the Arab League, but we'll also be working within our own bilateral channel and our measures to make sure that we mitigate any threat to Jordanian security. And we are not taking the threat of drug smuggling lightly. If we do not see effective measures to curb that threat, we will do what it takes to counter that threat, including taking military action inside Syria to eliminate this extremely dangerous threat.
Just a clarification, what we just heard is Safadi giving an interview to CNN earlier this month, last week, but he said similar things in a press conference today in Amman.
Okay, and what are the implications of this, taking this action against Syria? Again, we know about Israel hitting military targets. What about the relations between Jordan and Syria and the implications here?
For over a year and a half, Jordanian security forces have been thwarting dozens of drug smuggles across the border from Syria. They've killed dozens of people engaged in this, and this is a very serious problem for the Jordanians, and they've talked about this with the Syrians. There's even working groups on this, but it's not the first time that Jordan has conducted strikes in Syria. These go back nearly a decade, but it is very unusual. Obviously, the immediate suspect when you hear a strike in Syria is Israel. But this highlights what perhaps was the less talked about topic in that meeting in Amman between the foreign ministers of several Arab countries, not just reinstating Syria, but how to deal with the spillover of the chaos into across borders into other countries, and Jordan is leading these efforts.
Right, I was just going to notice, this comes a day after Syria was voted back into the Arab League. I have to wonder, there was a little quid pro quo here, that maybe Jordan got a green light in return for Syria coming
perhaps,
back.
Perhaps, but asked about this also in that interview, Ayman Safadi, the Jordanian foreign minister, said that what Arab countries hope is that their embrace will also help stabilize the situation in Syria, get them more engaged, more connected to the situation on the ground there. As of now, the Jordanian involvement in Syria on the ground is by airstrikes.